מה זה אומר?
אני חושבת שילדים הם אימפולסיביים. אימפולסיביות קשורה לאותנטיות. אני בעד אימפולסיביות, כי אם אני אחשוב...
מה היה לך? שמה.
Good morning, Alon.
Hey, where am I?
Oh, wow. That's an interesting look.
No,
Your head is covered in flowers. And then I see the background behind you. I'd leave it that way. I like it. It's kind of cool.
no. Let's see how I look.
You look great. I mean, we see kind of,
I see.
the dark spots of your eyes and stuff. Well, now it's kind of all background with a little bit of the frame and
Leave it alone. How are you doing?
yeah, I liked it better before with your head in the flowers. You've become your painting.
Okay, I'll take care of it.
Yeah. Anyway, how are you?
ציורים בחוץ.
Okay.
Well, there you go. Okay, now it's just you, which is fine. Yeah.
I sent you an email
Mm-hmm.
asking about joining
The plein air.
The plein air group.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Right.
I don't know why I'm never in this activity.
Well, you've received the notifications about it, right?
Yeah. I don't know. Can I join it? Do you still have it?
Yes, we still have it, and you're more than welcome to come. Yes.
Okay, which day is that?
It's always on Thursday.
Thursday?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mañana.
Tomorrow, yes.
What time?
It starts at 10.
Starts at 10.
Yes.
Okay.
And it goes all the way up to 3 o'clock. Okay?
Okay, and where do we meet?
Well, let me check on that, okay? I told somebody I was going to look at that, and I haven't gotten around to it quite yet. So let me find out here real quick. Plein air. Tomorrow being the 12th, okay, we are at the Cascade Nature Preserve, which is on Cascade Road, which is fairly far south in Atlanta, just to let you know. The week after that, we're going to be at Murphy Candler Park. And the week after that, we're going to be at Barrington Hall in Roswell. So those are the places.
Where do I find this information?
I will be happy to send it out to you again.
I would appreciate that, really.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's not a problem. Okay. Yeah, after class today, I'll send you, all the information. I'd sent it out earlier to people who.
Yeah, I know. I just need some activity.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And I hope that I can do it well. The only place that I'm really painting is when I go on Saturdays to the Spruill Hill.
הוא ישלח לך איפה אתם נפגשים מחר?
Yes. So you're going to send me the document about all the real activity?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be happy to send it to you, like right after we get out of class, okay?
Okay, excellent.
All right. Okay. Well, Maggie is back. I don't know who Maggie is yet. Hi, Maggie.
Maggie.
Oh,
Tirshi,
well, okay. Now it's turned into Veronica. Okay, you're doing this change thing. You're coming on as Maggie, and then you're turning into Veronica.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you
Good
doing?
morning.
You're faking me out. It's like, who is Maggie? It's like, wow, okay. And hi, John. How are you?
Hey, we're here today.
Yeah.
By the time I got the check-in yesterday, it was about 3:20, and you guys are already gone.
Right. Yeah, I saw that you logged on. Yes. Yeah, we went. Yeah, we went through. Yeah, everybody who was kind of there, and yeah. I mean, how many people were there, Veronica? I mean, like what, 4?
Yeah, 4 or 5.
Yeah, there were like only 4 or 5 of you guys that showed up yesterday. I was kind of like, huh, okay.
I think we're getting into the summer pattern already.
Yeah, well, probably, yeah. Yeah, actually, I've been trying to get a hold of Eloise so I could set up an appointment with her to do like a video, interview. Yeah, we've been playing phone tag, and that's it. I mean, so, and there's a couple other people out there, so that's what I'm going to be doing this afternoon is trying to wrap those interviews up and stuff. So, fun stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. So today we are going to take a wild and crazy ride. We are going to start off in Asia, and I have come across you wouldn't call him young. He's kind of mid-career artist in Japan who I had never heard about, but the guy is just absolutely phenomenal, right? And and he has given me a lot of answers to questions I've been asking a long time about my own work, right? And I want to share his work with you, as well as we're gonna start off, and it's a 2-part video, okay? And it takes you sort of through she must have other parts to this series, but it's the first 2 parts about the history of art in Japan, which spans 10,000 years. But she really only deals with the last like 300, from like 300 years ago to present. It's really fascinating stuff, though, and you'll like a lot of the images. And she's got interesting ideas about, why they did the art that they did and how that relates to current modern culture in Japan, But it also adds to, or speaks to kind of the broader context of art in the world right now. And then from there, we're going to move into some very short videos by a gentleman who you have seen before by the name of James Gurney, right? Now, if you remember anything about James Gurney was the guy who did the book Dinotopia, right? Anybody familiar with that book? Yeah, it was a beautifully illustrated book. But, he's doing a lot of life painting and plein air painting. Really, wonderful artist. And I think you're really going to enjoy looking at his stuff as well. And he also talks about some media that he's using that is a little bit unusual. And it's a very old media that's kind of been left by the wayside. But, he's kind of bringing it back. So with all that being said, now you kind of know what's going on or where we're going to go. I'm going to jump into this stuff. Anybody got anything they want to ask before we go away and get into video land? Okay. Yeah. I see Elsie is here. Hi, Elsie. How you doing?
Okay.
It's good to see you here. Okay. All right. So away we go. And if you have questions or anything, just, ask. And I'm liking this whole new, Zoom thing that I figured out about how to queue stuff up and how to, not have.
It really, you understand what you're doing.
Yeah, it's sometimes the light bulb goes off, and it's
Right.
amazing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing how all that works. Okay, so away we go. Everybody see the Japanese screen in the back? Okay.
Japanese art. It has a history of over 10,000.
Okay, I didn't do that. Not intentionally, at least. What? Let's try that again. Okay. I don't quite know what's going on here. All right, play. There we go. Okay, this is getting frustrating. Come on. You were perfectly fine yesterday. All right.
Japanese art. It has a. In this small island, unique art forms have been developed in every era. That history lives on to this day.
Hello, I'm Megumi Sasaki. I was born and raised in Japan, but I've lived in New York City for more than 20 years. I'm a documentary filmmaker and have made films about contemporary art. But right now, I'm so fascinated to learn more about Japanese art and its history of over 10,000 years.
Art Time Travel.
About 300 years ago, when Tokyo was called Edo, ukiyo-e paintings of geisha and beautiful women were very popular. These bijinga, or portrait of beautiful women, became an important genre in Japanese art. In this episode, we look at bijinga, still being drawn today, and dive deep into Japanese beauty.
I'm at the bookstore today. Here it is. This is the corner of women's fashion magazines. So let me show you a few faces of contemporary beauties. It must have taken a lot of time to create this perfect beauty by top makeup artists and photographers. And out of the hundreds of photographs taken, the best shot is selected for these covers.
The beautiful women of magazine covers and ads around town. They represent the standard of beautiful people today.
In today's world, women's beauty is captured mostly by photographs, but there was a time it was hand-drawn by artists. So let's go back in time and take a look at the history of bijinga, or pictures of beautiful women.
In the 18th century, ukiyo-e bijinga became very popular among the townspeople in Edo. The people in these portraits were real women around town. They quickly became famous. The man who made Ukiyo-e Bijinga popular was Kitagawa Utamaro. He spent his life portraying the beauty of women, leaving behind over 2,000 paintings. Ukiyo-e was usually a multicolored wood block print that was cheap and easy to duplicate. Popular painters like Utamaro, however, hand-drew one-of-a-kind ukiyo-e for special customers. In 2014, Kitagawa Utamaro's masterpiece, a hand-painted Bijinga ukiyo-e, was exhibited for the first time in 66 years.
This is just incredible. It's almost like a movie scene. There are a lot of drama. I almost hear these women chattering. I wonder what they're talking about.
2 meters high and 3.5 meters wide. Fukagawa in the Snow is said to be the largest masterpiece in all of ukiyo-e. The setting is a restaurant in Fukagawa, a red light district in Edo. Besides a boy and girl, it is a painting of 25 women. Utamaro's ideal world was full of beautiful women.
Okay.
It was found in 2012 after 64. When the work was rediscovered, people were
I'm going to back that up because
stunned.
you need to hear that.
Colors. Utamaro's ideal world.
Okay. What's going on here?
Fukagawa in Snow was actually missing for a long time, called the Phantom Painting. It was found in 2012 after 64 years. When the work was rediscovered, people were stunned that the brilliant colors had survived over 200 years. But some damage and signs of aging can be seen on the mounting and parts of the painting. At Tokada Museum of Art, the purchaser of the painting, top-notch restoration experts worked for 1 year to repair the work, until it could finally be exhibited.
どうも今日はようこそおいてくださいました。
どうも小林館長ありがとうございます。今日は。
Museum director Tadashi Kobayashi is one of the discoverers of Fukagawa in the Snow.
So what was your reaction when you first saw this real painting?
For someone who has been studying ukiyo-e for years, discovering this work was a dream. When I saw the painting, I must say I couldn't stop my eyes from welling up.
What's the uniqueness of Utamaro's paintings?
Well, it depends on the person, but I'm very interested in how Utamaro has drawn the beauty of each woman to be complex and different. Each woman's pose is unique, but when you look at it as a whole, they all seem connected as a single group. This creates a very lively scene, which I think is the painting's greatest charm.
Compared with other red light districts in Edo, Fukagawa was seen as a classier, more mature place. Here, the women's kimonos are painted in dark colors, a selection that could only be by Utamaro, who knew that world very well. In the back room, geisha play rock, paper, scissors. Utamaro may have actually seen this scene. In the hall, a maid carries bedding. Here's a girl sneaking a few bites of food. A restaurant with only women may be unrealistic, but the details add reality.
If you look closely, you can see the women's kimonos are all different. This ability to distinguish kimonos was a skill that was asked of painters, and also what people enjoyed seeing. The geishas and courtesans were the most fashionable women of that time. The kimonos they wore, their hairstyles and makeup styles received much attention. In this one, the women's bottom lips are green. That was the latest makeup trend at the time.
I think for women, this painting was almost like a fashion magazine to check the latest trend, right? Maybe for men, I don't know, this is like a Playboy magazine. I think each man would pick, okay, maybe she's my favorite or she's my favorite, right?
Kitagawa Utamaro, who created the genre called Bijinga. I want to learn more about what's behind his paintings.
Gesundheit.
So I'm visiting a Canadian scholar and collector of ukiyo-e. Hello, David.
Nice to meet you today.
Nice to meet you.
The rain's finally stopped, hasn't it?
Yes,
Nice to see you.
yes, nice to see you
Thanks for
too.
coming all the way to Walmart.
David Bull is an artist himself, drawing ukiyo-e influenced woodblock prints for over 30 years.
Here's a folder of some prints. These are
Okay.
from my collection. These are the
How
Bijinga.
beautiful. Hontoda.
Maybe
Yeah.
you know some of these. These are from the Meiji time. Beautifully carved, beautifully
Right.
painted.
Beautiful woman.
This is a Taisho era collection.
Ah.
It's so beautifully made. It's very difficult now to carve at the same levels that they did back then.
Okay.
Kitagawa Utamaro greatly changed the world of Bijinga with his unique composition. This Bijinga is by Torii Kiyonaga, who was popular before Utamaro. Here, tall Edo women are painted in full length. But Utamaro created a completely different composition. He filled the canvas with just the women's upper body. Gestures and even the makeup were drawn in detail, so he could show a more intimate kind of beauty. But for me, it's frustrating that I can't read the woman's emotions.
You know, when you look at all this woman's face, they look kind of like, they don't look realistic.
Well, there's lots of very interesting things about this, of course. You look at all these, they all have exactly the same shaped nose,
Right.
and it's always exactly the same shape angle. The nose never comes past the edge of the face. And you think, there's a strict set of rules. The nose had to be like this, the eyes had to be like this. So what's left for the artist to add originality?
Right.
It's really, really difficult to think. There's nothing left to do. Just make the nose, make the eyes, and that's it. You're finished. So the very interesting question this brings up is that it's huge. Is the genre of ukiyo-e, with its very simplistic drawing, a hook nose, little tiny eyes, and lips, is that genre capable of showing emotion?
David believes Utamaro gave these beautiful women many emotions. And the people of Edo were able to see those emotions.
But in Utamaro's era, presumably he must have thought that all the people who saw these plays could understand what he was trying to say.
I see. I wonder if he succeeded back then when he was alive.
The failure to me is not in Utamaro. The failure is in us these days who have lost the ability to see this nuance and sense this nuance. But whether we can see these feelings and see these emotions or not, it doesn't really bother me. For me, ukiyo-e like this is a genre that is decorative. I don't see it as having deep psychological meaning. I just love the beauty of them, as do most people. We just take them as clean, simple, beautiful, decorative pieces of art.
Right.
That, to me, that's what Bijinga as a genre means.
How has Bijinga changed since Utamaro created it? Today, art historian Yuji Yamashita has offered to show me some modern Bijinga.
Yes, thank you so much for coming in such a rainy day. So excited to see that modern contemporary Bijinga today. Konnichiwa.
This gallery exhibits works by a painter named Yasunari Ikenaga.
Okay, I want to stop this right here just for a second. And I want you to look at this image. Now, what's different about this image and the traditional images that we've been looking at so far? Anybody have?
No outline.
What was that, John?
No outline.
Well, there is an outline, but it's not as prominent, right?
Right, definitely.
Yeah, it's far more subtle. Anybody else?
You got a little more molding to the modeling to the skin as you get different intensities and color, so you get a feel more of a shape roundness, where the others look more flat.
Right. Yeah, this is in essence what is going on here is it's a blend. It's a blend between Japanese tradition and Western, art. It's not as, it is stylized, but it is not as simplified and stylized as like a lot of the traditional and older Japanese art. It's more representational to the model that this artist is painting, right?
But why the face don't have shadows?
Well, because it's part of the stylization, and it's not that it doesn't have shadows, because clearly it does, but it, like under the neck here, you see there's a real subtle change in value, right? But that's kind of the beauty of it, is that, they have intentionally, made those shifts in light and shadow more subtle than it may be in reality. And notice that, you see, they're still treating, a lot of the features of the face, in some regard, they're still outlining it, and stylizing it to some degree, right? But not as much as it had been in the past. So again, it's kind of a move toward Western, influences. Anybody got anything else to say before we move on? No? Okay.
Yeah. She has a nice face. Yes.
Yeah. Well, just wait. I mean, this guy's work is incredible.
Amazing color.
Yes, the color is unique.
It's very different from ukiyo-e, but somehow it's very Japanese. This earthy feel. Earthy color, maybe, but the feel of the painting. There's nothing sexual about this painting, but somehow I feel it's very intimate and sexy. I'm seeing Ikenaga's works for the first time. But his Bijima is very popular around the world, having been used for many publication covers.
This is Yasunari Ikenaga's painting studio. Let's pay him a visit. Hello. Thanks for having us. This is Ms. Sasaki.
Nice to meet you. Thank you so much for having us today.
You have a model here.
Konnichiwa. Hello. Nice to meet you.
Are you working right now? Yes, if I can work just a little more. Well, if you don't mind,
Please go ahead.
all right if we watch you work.
Ikenaga always paints with the model in front of him. They are not professionals. He only has a few women he likes to paint, and has drawn several works of the same person. Because it takes several months to complete one painting, he asks the model to visit his studio many times. Ikenaga was just 3 when he decided to become a painter. Through the years, his theme has always been beautiful women.
When you paint women, do you have any particular person in your mind? Because I feel like you're sending sort of like a love letter or a message.
No. I like who I'm drawing. The girl in front of me.
So you don't think about other women?
You don't flirt with other women.
That's right. To be honest, I wish I could reach out and touch her. But instead, I just paint.
Do you think that she looks like yourself?
I think there's a resemblance, but she's much more mature looking than I am.
Yes, the painting does look more mature. All the women in your paintings are mature looking. Are they? Never thought of them that way.
The titles of Ikenaga's works always include the name of the women picture. Natsuko, Mai, Emiko, all women who lead separate lives. But when they are drawn by Ikenaga, their individual lives disappear, and they become an abstract depiction of a beautiful woman.
Seeing a lot of your works, there's a certain style in all of them. This Ikenaga beauty. In that way, you're exactly like Utamaro. There aren't many Japanese painters today who draw solely Jinga. Yes. Well, I was told once it was pointless to paint the Jinga. Really?
How has Bijinga changed since the early 19th century when Utamaro passed away? In the late 19th century, Kawanabe Kyosai combined the decorative style of ukiyo-e Bijinga with the three-dimensionality of Western paintings. 20th century painter Kaburaki Kiyokata's Beautiful Woman reminds us of nostalgic Edo in an increasingly westernized Japan. At about the same time, Kyoto-born female painter Uemura Shoen was also pursuing the ideal beauty of Japanese women.
In the early 20th century, I think Bijinga as an art disappeared. Until then, there were Bijinga painters who carried on the ukiyo-e tradition. I believe Kaburaki Kiyokata and Uemura Shoen were the last two masters. After World War II, when Kiyokata and Shoen passed away, there were no successors. I think it's because Bijinga became complete in the early 20th century. Once something's complete, there's little room to add anything new. I think that's why painters quit drawing Bijinga. But now, I think manga and anime are carrying on the Bijinga tradition. Bijinga lives on, not in paintings, but in different genres. I agree. The Bijinga style is very unique. The beautiful girls that appear in manga and anime all have unrealistic faces. They're symbolized. So modern young people can look at a character with pigtails and understand she's the baby of the group. Ukiyo-e Bijinga are also symbolized beauties. I think it was the exact same thing back then. But I feel in modern Japanese art, so much emphasis is on sketching accurately that the tradition of symbolized Bijinga couldn't be continued.
Professor Yamashita and Mr. Ikenaga both say that the tradition of Bijinga lives on in manga and anime today. At first glance, they all look to have the same face, like they've been symbolized. But in this unique art, different hairstyles or clothes give the female characters individuality and emotion.
It's natural that men want to draw women. We draw women because we love them. That's how Bijinga originated. But I think it's natural. Thinking about trends in the art world. When people call your works Bijinga, do you feel resistance or does it make you happy? Happy. Japanese paint. But I think maybe the paintings are trying to swallow that again.
The longing of men created the symbolized female ideal. Now I understand. That's an important element in Bijinga. So then, what do we women think about female beauty? I'm going to do a little research with girls of a younger generation. Here I'm in one corner of a trendy shopping center. If you look over there, do you see the booth and machines? It's like very popular among teenage girls. So I'm gonna go and take a look what's going on there. Hello. The Sprint sticker machine magically grants every girl's beauty wishes. With a few taps on the computer, you can change your appearance just as you like it.
You touch this to change your skin color and eye size. Pale skincare and big eyes.
I have them alter my face to get it closer to their ideal beauty. They whiten my skin and make my eyes larger, like an anime character. Oh, seems different from the beauty men like to see, but I found one commonality. Big eyes and pale skin, like an anime character. Similar to the beautiful women by men, they are certainly symbolized beauty features. Do the two of you admire these features too?
Yes,
This is ideal?
I think so.
What do these beautiful women say to us? Kitagawa Utamaro's Bijinga was popular with women that era too. I'm sure it had to do with wanting to learn the latest trends. But maybe those symbolized features were elements of beauty that women desire as well. In our modern world, portraits are seen as depictions of a person's unique inner self. But Bijinga is not about that at all. Still, the symbolized women in Bijinga do make us think about beauty and its effects. "300 years ago, people could never imagine that women would enjoy creating these photo booth stickers, our modern version of Bijinga. So I wonder, who defines women's beauty? Man, woman, or artist?
Lost in the sky. We've left on the ground with no reprising now. Birdies in the land of dreams, playing noise and sound. Why do we know nothing is real? Nothing's would you take me for all your dreams, dancing in the air, like golden stars, I wanted to be with you and talk about the weather, the traditions I can trace against the tide in your face, and escape my attention. You keep your distance with a system of touch and gentle persuasion and lasting admiration. Could I need you to smile? You're wasting my time. You're just wasting time. Something happens and I never found it. Don't head over here. Something happens and head over here. Oh, don't break my heart. Don't throw it away. I'm lit a fire and watching it burn. I thought of your future with one foot in the past. Now just how long can this last? Have you no ambition? My mother and my brothers used to breathe and clean it and dream of a doctor. It's hard to be a man when there's a the sun down till I'm out of the heat. Something opens and I'm out of it. Don't take my heart, don't break my heart, don't throw it away.
So, what'd you guys think of that?
I had two observations.
Okay.
One, it looked like he was using a water medium.
One simple but brilliant trick to cool your home in 90 seconds.
Hang on one sec.
Tired of hot and stuffy rooms during summer? This genius way to cool any room in 90 seconds for...
Skip the ad and stop it real quick. Okay. All right. Sorry, John. Yeah. So
I say it looked like he was using a water medium.
Yeah.
And then also his work is more almost a monotone. It's not, but it sort of gives the impression of one color with not using the vivid colors of the ancients.
Well, and yes, his color is very subtle. You know, it's and again, kind of very soft and kind of muted overall. You know,
right.
Occasionally, you know, there's some intensity, and it's still applied very subtly, but it's in the skin tones. If you look at some of the reds and things in sort of around the facial features and things like that, they'll get a little more intense, though they're very soft. And again, you know, it's the contrast that draws you to the face. But yeah, he's got beautiful work, and he would be, you know, if you want to look at a way of stylizing a human figure and still being somewhat representational at the same time, he would be a good person to look at and study. Also,
what medium is he using? Is he using it? It looked almost. Could it be a tempera?
I'm sorry, what?
Could it be a tempera?
Well, I think he's using that same media that the other artist was using yesterday. You know, it was it's almost like a gouache or a tempera.
Right. Yeah.
But they're making it out of, you know, dried pigments, adding the binder to it.
Okay.
And it's not a watercolor. Okay, because it is an opaque medium. Pardon me, where he can paint one layer over another, you know, and it's not translucent. It's
no, they did not look like watercolors.
No, and you know, I mean, his selection of the palette that he uses and things are, you know, really beautiful, you know, work. And the thing is, for, you know, he's not an older artist. I mean, he's kind of mid-career, but and the length of time that it takes him to do a piece, as they said, it could be several months that he's working on a painting. Of course, you know, he's probably doing many paintings at the same time. You know, he's not working. Right. But just looking at sort of the catalog of pieces that he's done, he's probably done well over 1,000 paintings at this point in his career. You know, and what you saw was just, you know, a small
right.
But yeah, he's very prolific. He works kind of like, and he's put together, a really large body of work, in a relatively short period of time. So, yeah, interesting painter. And I'm still researching him and trying to find out more. So, anyway, anybody else got any comments about his work or things you like, don't like?
No. Well, the lady who was talking said he take months to finish one painting.
Right.
And that's my plug with me. I'm impatient when I'm painting something. I wanted to finish it right away.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the reason that I'm not doing a good job.
It may have, some influence on not necessarily whether you're doing a good job, but it does have an effect on the work as far as what you can achieve, in a short period of time. If your style and approach to creating artwork is kind of spontaneous, then that's fine. If on the other hand, you're wanting to do very sort of well-designed, very subtle things, then it might take a much longer period of time. Like, for example, the piece that's behind Elsie, which is probably Chinese, right?
It is, yes.
Yeah.
And it's a pastoral scene, and it's about 72 by 42 across the back of my bedroom wall, and it has a signature. I don't know if you can see it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, NS it looks like, but that's just my interpretation. I have no idea who did it, but it is exactly what, and the face form is what was discussed, in the first portion of the recording.
Yeah. Well, in a lot of Asian art, whether you're looking at Japanese, Korean, Chinese, the emphasis was not on, realistic depiction of character. It was a stylized beauty, an aesthetic that they were going for.
Yeah. This is really beautiful. I use it as a headboard on my bed, behind my bed.
Yeah, now is the background of that, now that's probably what, painted, is it painted on silk?
Yeah, no, because it ripped, and I repaired it right here. And I found out it's canvas.
Oh, it is canvas.
Yeah. It's not silk, and it has gold and burnished gold and green in the background.
Okay. All right.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. Well, a lot of those pieces of art are, really lovely to look at. And again, it's a really different approach from Western painting, but, you can learn a lot, as an artist about simplification in design, from sources like, either Chinese or Japanese, artwork. So, and as I get older, I tend to look more and more, at those cultures as a source, to learn from, because Well, they've got a lot of beautiful stuff. So, Elsie seems to be frozen for some reason. I don't know why. Okay. Anybody else got anything they want to say before we move on? Any other comments? Okay. Well, we're going to look at one more Asian painter who is an incredible artist. Again, very contemporary. I mean, he's living today and working, and you'll be blown away by what he can do. And it's an interesting story. But then we're going to jump to James Gurney, who we've seen before. And he's going to do several short videos about his work and using a medium called casein. All right. And he'll explain to you sort of what that is. All right. So let's jump on in. And away we go. We hope. What's going on here? Okay, let's try this again.
To world-renowned live drawing artist Kim Jung-gi, drawing is all about action. Each stroke he draws comes to life before the eyes of the audience. Let's take a deep dive into the fascinating world of live drawings. This is a studio of world-class drawing artist Kim Jung-gi, who paved the way for live illustrations. Kim took the world by storm with his live demonstrations of breathtakingly detailed drawings without any base drawings.
저는 김정기라고 하고요. 저는 처음 시작은 만화로 시작했습니다. 만화 쪽하고 현대 미술하고도 약간씩 걸치고 있는 경계가 애매하면서 또 우리나라에 잘 없는 분야에서 일하고 있는 사람입니다.
Kim is unrivaled in the world of live drawings. His impromptu illustrations simply mesmerize the audience. It's not just that Kim can draw really quickly. He's a genius in arranging different scenes on one canvas and creating a story out of the scenes by connecting the dots.
2011년 부천 국제 만화전이었던 것 같아요. 붓을 하나 얻게 됐어요. 보통 하시는 방법이 붓을 꾸미는 방식이 이제 작품을 액자에 해서 3면에다 붙이는 방식인데, 저 같은 경우에는 남들처럼 하는 거 하지 말고 우리 그냥 3면에다가 종이 붙이고 평상시 낙서하듯이 그것도 재밌겠다 싶어서 3일 내내 이렇게 그렸어요. 그 행사가 끝난 다음에 그냥 가편집을 해서 그냥 재미삼아 유튜브에 올렸는데 그게 파급 효과가 그렇게 클 줄 몰랐어요. 그래서 그 해 겨울 프랑스 초청부터 시작해가지고 뭐 중국 이러면서 이제 세계 여러 나라를 돌아다니게 됐어요.
Kim does not need base drawings even for watercolors, where the hues of colors are considered very important. What is most striking about his art is that he can draw without a reference.
자주 하는 질문 중에 포토그래픽 메모리가 있느냐, 그 정도까지는 아닌 것 같아도 그러니까 필요에 의해서 원하는 이미지 같은 경우에는 정말 오래된 것도 기억해낼 수 있어요. 그래서 평상시에 많은 것들을 관찰하는 편이에요. 그걸 머릿속에 기억해요. 그 이미지를 갖고 조합하는 거예요. 그래서 되게 큰 작업 같은 경우에는 한 60에서 70% 정도 이미지를 갖고 시작해요. 이렇게 그릴 때 한 번 쭉 그리는 게 아니라 한 여기 그렸다가 저기 그렸다 이렇게 띄엄띄엄 막 처음에 배치를 막 해요. 이거 그리면서 다음번에 뒤에 거하고 어떻게 잘 어울려야 되고 또 이 사람 시선하고 저 사람 시선하고도 맞아야 되고 막 그런 것들 많이 생각이 되기 때문에 이렇게 몸이 피곤한 것도 있어요. 큰 그림 그리니까. 근데 그것보다 머릿속이 되게 힘들어요. 계속 생각하면서 그려야 되니까.
Kim's fans say that he's gifted, but nothing comes all that easy. Kim never drops his drawing pen, even when he takes a break. He makes art out of scribbles.
보통 낙서하실 때 그냥 달랑 하나만 그리는 편이 많았을 거예요. 보통 다른 분들. 근데 저 같은 경우 하나 그리면 얘하고 또 어떻게 연관되는 뭐 다른 걸 그리고 여기에 또 얘는 그 앞에 어떤 게 또 인테리어적으로 뭐 어떤 소재가 들어가면 더 예쁘겠다 그런 거 없지. 그래서 그 하나 그림이 완성됐을 때 이야기가 될 수 있도록 그리는 편이에요. 그래서 그런 훈련들이 아마 이런 화면 구성이나 아니면 이야기를 갖는 데 되게 도움이 많이 될 것 같아요.
Kim's drawings are used in a variety of fields, including advertisement, media, or corporation projects. Recently, Kim was invited to a drawing show to celebrate World Environment Day by the Ministry of Environment. He created this extraordinary piece of drawing, featuring complex figures and images that criticizes the use of plastics, which contaminate the environment, and describes how everyone can make a difference in their lives. A thorough background research about the subject before drawing helps him unleash his imagination.
가장 기억에 남는 드로잉은 위안부 그림인데요. 이거는 잘 그려서 기억에 남는 게 아니라 되게 힘들었었어요. 위안부 그림은. 그래서 제가 알고 있는 내용이 또 워낙 지식이 얇은 데다가 역사적인 사실을 그대로 그려내야 되기 때문에 되게 사소한 것까지 다 꼼꼼히 그려야 되기 때문에 그런 것도 힘들었던 것 같아요. 그림 크기도 별로 크지 않았어요. 한 요만하나? 근데 그걸 한 5시간 동안 그렸는데 제가 원래 손에 땀이 별로 없는 편이에요. 근데 그때는 그릴 때 손에 땀이 엄청 많이 스트레스도 되게 많이 받았던 그림인 것 같아요.
Kim wants to work on something Korean.
이 심청가, 춘향가 이런 것들, 판소리 같은 것들도 뭐 완창하는데 7시간, 8시간 걸린다고 하더라고요. 그런 것들을 완창을 하시고 옆에서는 창을 하시고 저 같은 경우에 그 내용에 관한 그림들을 라이브로 벽에다가 같이 그린 내용들도 되게 재밌을 것 같고 청각적인 거하고 시각적인 거하고 같이 나오면 훨씬 더 효과가 좋을 것 같다는 생각도 그런 것도 재밌을 것 같아요.
Kim's original illustrations are auctioned off at a high price. He made not only the final illustration, but also the process of drawing into art.
왜 예술인가? 만화가 그렇다고 말하는데 유럽이나 미국 같은 경우에는 수집하시는 분들이 되게 많아요. 그래서 한국에서는 없는 시장은 저는 원화 시장, 그러니까 그림을 팔고 사고 하는 일을 하고 있어요. 우리나라에서 아직까지는 그 정도까지는 쳐주지 않는 것 같아요. 그런 환경이 좀 안타까워요. 우리나라 만화 작가들 사이에서 있을 수 없는 그냥 원고 고려를 받는 거하고 다른 일. 내가 그렸던 그림을 파는 거. 없는 시장인데 제가 그런 길을 가고 있는 것 같아요.
Cartoonist turned live drawing artist Kim Jong-gi is trailblazing the path towards live drawing. Let's cross our fingers for his next mind-boggling project.
Okay. Anybody got any Anything to say about that?
Many people don't know this, but if you
How interesting that he is compelled to draw. He's compelled to draw. He has to get it out of his mind onto the paper.
Okay. How about the fact that he doesn't use reference? All of this stuff.
I was amazed. And he keeps all that in his brain. He's got a big brain.
Well, I don't know about big, but he's got a good filing system for sure. You know, being able to have access to being able to create those images, and he does it very well. Of course, you know, he was an animator for many years, and that trains you, you know, basically, you know, to draw kind of from memory. And so, you know, that's a good skill to have, obviously, you know. Anybody got anything else that they want to comment before we move on?
I have a question about his art. Has he ever done political cartoons?
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not that familiar with his work. But you know, I'm kind of impressed actually with the idea behind his art, because it's not so much the drawing, it's that he does it in front of a live audience. See, he'll go to these places and he'll actually produce these large scale drawings about a variety of subjects, but then all of that gets sold, see? So it's actually part performance and part a physical piece of artwork at the same time, which is an interesting idea, you know. You know, it's I'm sure that for him to show up, you know, at one of these events, there has to be some sort of paid fee to him to even come, and then obviously he gets the benefit of selling the work as well. So it's an interesting idea of, you know, how to live as an artist. All right, so we're going to move on. We're going to look at James Gurney, and I think it's like 4, but they're very short videos of Gurney's work. And let's see. We'll have to get over the ad. Yeah.
buy for this new offer through Pink Energy, you could get.
Yeah, let's get that ad.
Hello, I'm Kyo Hasegawa. I'm an artist and painter.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay.
I have been studying Japanese paintings Nihonga for about 15 years.
That's not quite the right video. Let's see. We want to go. Okay, where did it go? Come on.
Yes, a Japanese paper washi made from native plants.
Yeah. Okay, here it is.
It's late afternoon on a fall.
Okay, come on. All right.
It's late afternoon on a fall day in the Rock Old Brick Hotel. I'm painting in a watercolor sketchbook over a pencil drawing that lays out the main shapes of the hotel. I'm using the watercolor palette just for mixing colors. The paint I'm using is casein. 6 colors: titanium white, ivory black, Venetian red, yellow ochre, cobalt blue, and raw umber. After establishing that light, warm mountain in the distance, I paint the dark shadows of the building using the blue and the Venetian red, but not using the black. It's dark, but not that dark. Having that dark shadow area helps me to estimate the values of the other colors I'm using. Casein is a lot like gouache, and if you thin it down with water, it can go on semi-transparently, at least enough so that you can see the pencil drawing through it. I'm covering the areas loosely using this synthetic large brush. It's a cloudy day, and those clouds present a problem, because watch in the 7-second clip how the light disappears from the brick wall on the left as it goes into shadow. The subject goes in and out of light as I paint, but I want to preserve that brightly lit side facing me of the brick building. And you notice now that I'm going toward opaques, I painted that whole surface of the lit side of the brick building in opaques. And I'm trying to rediscover the light and dark lines with the brush rather than with the pencil. Here's the finished painting. So loose, lay in, transparently, opaque finish. So check out these other casein videos, or hop on the link over to my website with more information about full-length videos.
This revolutionary tooth cleaner is saving users from expensive. It removes tartar, plaque, and even.
There we go. Come on. Okay.
Hey, you guys. Well, welcome to another Friday Night Live. I know it's. Okay. Well, welcome to another Friday Night Live.
Okay. Well, we're not doing Friday Night Live. Okay. So. Any thoughts about what you guys saw today?
I thought casein was part of the makeup of milk.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the pigment is added to a casein base as a binder because, you know, it's a protein and proteins tend to be sort of sticky, right? Like egg tempera, you use the album, right? And then you put in the pigment and it acts as a binder, you know, to fix it to the page and not make it flake off. So, yeah. Let's see. Oh, we lost Elsie. No, Elsie's still here. We lost somebody. Who went away? John. Elon, yeah. Okay, Elon went away. Okay. But yeah, it's you can use different mediums as binders, right? kind of like we were seeing the mixed dry pigment into kind of a binding mix. What was it, yesterday? To create the pigments and stuff that they were painting with, the one Japanese painter, that we looked at. And that seems to be
Right.
a kind of a popular, or maybe it's becoming a more popular process, for contemporary Japanese painters. Rather than using acrylics or oils, it's still a water-based paint, but they're kind of mixing up their own batches of color and stuff, and controlling the saturation of the pigment in the mixtures. Yeah. There's
So going back to the casein. Casein is a binder, not a pigment.
Well, it's a medium. Okay, it's a painting medium, just like oils or acrylics. It's fairly old. It was probably, casein started probably around about the 15 or 1600s, and was used almost like tempera or watercolor. Has been used more of a sketching medium than like a finished work. And that was true up until probably the 1920s or 1930s. And then it became really, really popular with illustrators in particular, because you could paint with it, it would dry very fast, and it was opaque, and you could layer it just like you could oil paint, and it made a pretty permanent film, in the paint, so that the paint would hold up for a long time. And the colors didn't shift. So, what you mixed was pretty much what you got when you put it down there.
So if you went to look for it in an art store, would it come in a jar?
No, you can actually buy it in tubes. If you shop for it online, you're not going to find it in a lot of the art stores if you just walk in.
Right.
It's something that you would have to order online.
Mhm.
I mean, they still make it in, fairly limited quantities, I think, but you can get it. Yeah. And I'm sure that if you go onto YouTube, you could probably find a video on how to make your own. You could buy the dry pigments and then make your own casein paint. More than likely.
Question.
Yes.
You mentioned tempera. Is tempera the same than acrylic?
No.
What's the difference?
Oh. Well, the difference is that tempera is not a plastic. It doesn't have a plastic binder. It uses, okay, let's go back. I gotta say, about tempera, it gets a little bit confusing, because there's the stuff that they sell to elementary school students that come in big jars called tempera.
Right.
And it's a, it's a pigmented paint that has really very little binder in it. And it's good for paper because it will saturate the paper. But if you paint on like a harder surface or a canvas and things, it will eventually flake off because it doesn't have the, the amount of binder in it, to make it permanent. They also use a lot of that tempera for advertising and painting on glass, like in storefronts and stuff like that for, advertising. But there is other types of tempera, right? You have egg tempera, which Andrew Wyeth worked with. which is the same basic pigment, and it doesn't have a binder, it's just a powdered pigment, and you add the egg album, the white part, and you mix it with the paint, and you know, you have to mix it up in small batches and then use it. And the protein in the egg album, you know, is the binder that keeps it, you know, permanent. And then you have, you know, a medium called gouache, right? And all gouache is the same pigment, but it's mixed with gum arabic, much like watercolor is, as a binder. And again, it makes it a permanent medium so that it will last a long time. Okay.
Thank you.
Kind of answer your question?
Uh-huh.
Okay. But yeah, there's, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what medium you work in. You know, you're starting off with a ground pigment, and those pigments can be mineral, they can be plant-based, or they can be synthetic, right? The synthetic and the mineral pigments are generally permanent and won't fade. The plant-based are what we call fugitive, and they will last for a period of time, but they will also fade if they're in sunlight or really any kind of light for any long period of time. So you got to be very careful with them. Okay?
That's a descriptive term, fugitive.
Yes, fugitive, yes. Yeah, non-permanent, right?
Right.
Yep. Yeah, they run away after a while. You know, you get to see these beautiful reds and things, and see, that's one of the problems with watercolor, is that watercolor, you know, in particular, like really expensive high-end watercolors, a lot of them use these fugitive pigments that come from exotic blends of like flowers or beetle shells, or, you know, they're natural. But the problem is that you expose them to sunlight for a long period of time and they'll fade. But there's no other way of getting those colors, you know? You know, at least, you know, not the intensity or the brightness of them, you know? And that's why they still use them. If they could figure out a way of making them synthetically and making them permanent, they would, in a heartbeat. So
Somebody's going to do it.
they're working on it. They're trying.
If you had like a UV glass on the frame, would that help?
It will slow it down. It won't stop it. Yeah. It's just, you know, you take any kind of organic material, and over time, exposure to air, exposure to light, it's going to degrade it. You know, I mean, there's like, for example, it's called Cirrus red. Okay. Beautiful red. It's this almost purpley color. And you can get it in some watercolor mixtures. It's the only time I've ever seen it. But you put it on, and again, you know, it's this beautiful, really kind of cool, saturated red that nothing else looks like. And you put it on your watercolor, and even under glass and UV, within like 3 years, it begins to fade.
Wow.
And it loses the brightness of it, and it becomes this sort of beigey, browny tint eventually. And that's all that's left of it. So, Sorry. Yep. It's just what it is. And the reason that I know this is that I had tubes of it and I used it in a good deal of my illustration work when I was going through the Academy of Art. And I did some really wonderful, illustration pieces and stuff. And it just faded, It really didn't take it very long to do it either, which was really sad. I was somewhat brokenhearted.
I don't recall who's the contemporary painter that you said used cheap paint, house paint. Not Kandinsky.
Oh, yeah, no,
Warhol?
Jackson Pollock.
Jack Pollock. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Yes, right. Okay.
Yeah. No, he would go down to his local hardware store and just buy house paint.
Yeah.
And the thing is, he not only would he buy house paint, he would take oil-based house paint and mix it with enamel, and he would layer like one over another, and they don't really work well together. It's not the most.
Would just an oil-based paint work? I mean, not mixing it.
I'm sorry, what?
If you had just an oil-based house paint, would that be something a little more permanent?
Well, yeah, at least the paint would be consistent, and one layer wouldn't
not mix it.
Yeah, and he used it kind of randomly. He didn't really think about, will this stick to that? He was just doing what he could get down there.
I was thinking to it when Saran was on. He had done that painting with house paints.
Mm-hmm.
There, and I wonder if he used the water base or an oil base.
Oh, he was using like a water-based acrylic.
Just a regular water, but he said he used house paint for the background because it was so large.
Yeah, but if you buy house paint today, it's almost all universally acrylic.
Oh, okay, really? Okay.
Yeah. Now you can buy what they call enamel paint now.
Mm-hmm.
But if you begin to read the label, even it's an acrylic-based enamel. They've just about done away with all oil-based paints.
Really? Okay.
So we don't have to buy dissolved like a spirit mineral anymore if I use enamel?
Well, with that acrylic enamel, I think if you read it, it washes up with water.
Mm.
Now, if you buy the old style enamel, you will have to have a thinner.
A thinner, yes.
Yeah.
To wash the brush.
Yes,
Mm.
well, and everything else. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the paint industry, I think, for many years has been moving away from those oil-based paints and into an acrylic-based. The issue with house paint in general, though, is again the saturation of the pigment is very low, and it's a very, very high kind of filler content in the paint, and and the color, it's just it's not going to last forever. It's going to fade because the quality of the pigment is pretty low. So I don't highly recommend that you go out to Sherwin-Williams and stock up on gallons of paint to do your paintings with. I mean, probably not the best move. Okay, so just my idea, but who knows? We don't. I mean, even using paint, artist quality acrylic paint today, it's kind of a gamble. because the fact is, we don't really know that it will last 200 years, 500, 1,000 years, you know?
Yeah.
I mean,
Hasn't been around that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, how do we know? You know, we don't, you know? I mean, even oil paint, given, you know, enough time, and it stood the test of time now. I mean, you know, you've got paintings now in oil who, I guess right now they're close to 1,000 years old now. You know, but we really don't know. You know, we don't really know exactly how long they'll last.
So what causes the cracking? A lot of those old masters, the paint is all cracked. Is that just that it keeps getting drier and drier?
Well, it's that, yeah, less and less oil over time is in, you know, still held in the pigment, but it's mainly expansion and contraction of the substrate.
Right.
Painted on, you know,
Yeah.
because if it's painted on canvas, you know, canvas is going to expand and contract, you know, with humidity and temperature and everything else, right? Well, so is wood. You know, there's not much out there that's not going to expand and contract, unless you're painting on metal, right? But even metal expands and contracts to some degree. It depends on how much heat and how much cold. So, you know, if you keep it within a fairly stable temperature range and a fairly stable, you know, range of humidity, then you can eliminate a lot of that. But that means that it has to permanently be housed in a museum or someplace that's climate controlled.
Right.
Yeah. So if you ever walk into a museum and, you know, you have to put on a sweater, there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
And that's that they're trying to keep the humidity low and the temperature stable so that the artwork in there has a chance of lasting.
Well, some are just in individual encasements for the,
Yeah.
for the specifications for that.
Right. Yeah, like, well, and a lot of those pieces of artwork are in those encasements because it's been known that people kind of walk into museums and do weird things, like try to take knives or spray cans or things in paintings.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
yes. Yeah. And so, yeah, a lot of those really valuable pieces of art that used to be like open and pretty easy to see with public no longer are, like the Mona Lisa. The Mona Lisa doesn't hang in the frame anymore. It hangs within the frame, but it also hangs within a box that has a layer of like bulletproof glass on it, you know, that, yeah, nobody can even get near the box, you know, because, you know, people have tried to vandalize it in the past. Don't know why, but they have. You know, it's bad enough trying to steal it, but it's another thing just trying to destroy it, you know, for whatever reason. So crazy. Yeah. At least to me. So. All right. Anybody got any other things we need to talk about before we go away? Okay. Everybody know that tomorrow we are going down to Cascade, to the Cascade Nature Center tomorrow. Okay. And from what I understand, you know, it's a bit of a walk to sort of where like the waterfalls and things are within Cascade. You know, it's maybe a quarter of a mile to half a mile walk. So just plan accordingly. You know, if you're going to if you're going to go that far back into the park to paint, you know, try to travel somewhat light, okay, and be mobile. So don't bring your heaviest easel and stuff like that, okay?
Or else just sit in the parking lot and paint from there.
Pardon?
I said, otherwise, just sit in the parking lot and paint from there.
Well, you could do that. I mean, look, you know, there's plenty of trees and paths and.
Right, I'm sure, right.
Yeah. Now, unfortunately, and when I first looked this up, you know, my impression, or, you know, I was under the idea that they had public restrooms there. They do not. Okay. That's because Eloise has gone there on a fairly regular basis. And yeah, so there are no public restrooms there.
So we have to go behind the bushes.
That's right. You'd have to go behind the bushes. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And or limit the amount of coffee, tea, and water that you drink before you go. Okay. You know, just manage things. Okay. So now you know. All right. Well, I don't have any more. Anybody else? Okay. All right. Well, you guys have a good
day.
Hey, you.
See you all.
Yep. Happy Wednesday. Oh, by the way, $5 sushi at Publix today, in case you're looking for a good deal for lunch. So,
Oh, no, I don't do sushi.
well,
Happy Wednesday.
all right. Bye,
Okay,
everybody.
have fun tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.